people like Aristotle, Plato, they they kind of had nothing to work with, and so they went from 0 to 1. Hey, I think A cannot be not A.
Right.
Um, if we are, if we don't have to arrive at that conclusion ourselves, I wonder if creativity will slow to an extent because we kind of outsource all creativity to AI.
I don't think so. Uh, I think it's a natural building of art, not a not a shortcut or a cheat.
Hmm.
If you go back on history on what people were doing, they went from having to discover a whole lot of stuff themselves to reading scrolls, and that information had limited movement because of those scrolls. Then the printing press, you have much broader movement of the printing of the Bible, you
Right.
know, the first 50,000 copies that went around the world. And before that, you likely didn't have access to a complete Bible. That was even just like one Bible per church. Then it
Right.
became one Bible per family with the Schofield Bible that was trying to get one in every home. So I think that's an important distribution of truth. Not, and you could say, I'm a purist. I want to hand scribe my Bible. Okay. Uh, I'll
Go
take
at it.
I read my Bible app, listen to audiobooks. I have a real Bible over there. And then I have everyone barking at me because I read NIV. You can't read that. I'm like, dude, this book is a miracle. It never should have even gotten to me. So, so built on top of that is mass media arts and the disposable arts going out on social media.
Right.
Uh, I don't know if I can defend it that well, but we laugh at memes. We laugh at The Simpsons. We laugh at stand-up comics. We are moved by movies like Lord of the Rings. Those are all built on top of past creations and then
Mm-hmm.
mass dispersed. You lose some information, you streamline it to make it full of a little more empty calories, even a little more salt and sugar to make it taste better. And then everyone does their versions of it. It influences and disperses itself throughout culture. And that I don't think you'd have a Harry Potter without Lord of the Rings. I don't think you'd have Game of Thrones without Lord of the Rings, kind of
Right.
sword and sorcery stuff. So it makes its way out. Well, then comes AI. Now AI is built on top of art. It is built not on top of art, but on top of pop media. What came before it?
Right.
And people keep their head is stuck in the past of what they think we're doing today with pop media, what they think we're doing today with pop media, right? And what we do is you make a book or a Twitter post and you send it out to everyone, right? So that part they get correct. But then they project that onto AI and think that's what AI is doing. That is not what AI is doing. AI is saying now instead of you creating one page of a book where you have amassed all this information in the past, how to draw things by other people, ink techniques by other people, text techniques, story structure by other people, it now lets you paint with all of that. So now you
Right.
can paint with an entire book,
Yeah.
paint it, push the button. It's it's just one step more of what it did before. And we're only seeing the very beginning of what it does. So, but what it's emulating is what you wanted to do by hand to some degree. You wanted to hire a crew to shoot a hot rod, you know, going down a road with smoke coming out of it. It's all beat up in 70s looking in a post-apocalyptic world. And you have to have about $250 million to shoot that shot and hire that crew. And now a third grader can do it in 15 minutes by typing in, I want, a post apocalyptic hot rod going down the road with smoke coming out of it. And boom, it gives it to you.
Yeah.
What crime was committed?
None. But the question is the art less valuable because of its the effort put into its creation?
No, because I'm not paid by the hour. There's some of the greatest works ever made were not paid directly to the creator. Moby Dick never sold out of its first printing in Melville's lifetime. He died thinking Moby Dick did not sell out of its first printing of 3,500 books. Thought it was a failure, commercial failure. Now, if he waited around going, I want to get paid for writing the world's greatest novel, he never would have written it. He wrote it for different reasons. So we're creating for different reasons than certainly the monetary value. I'm not talking about utility. I understand that you could also mean a true, good, and beautiful sense of value. But I actually think there's going to be beautiful creations that come out of AI. I think it's going to be amazing. It's just going to be whole creations. You're going to be able to just go, I want that car to go down a road. I want it to go on the hero's journey. I want it to have a breakdown where it almost dies in the third act, and or it dies and it's broken in a junkyard, and someone comes and resurrects it from the dead and saves it and puts it back on the road, paint, fine, it's on a new journey. That's the Christian story, but you'll tell it using just AI and you don't have to hire your crew.
Yeah.
The disruption and the anger that everyone has is the old system saying you don't have to hire a crew. You have to hire a crew. You'll know my shot looks exactly like what you shot 20 years ago. And now my third grader can write that shot and you're angry because, they all know the jig is up. They were doing it for the money and it's not going to be as monetarily valuable. It's not going to be as monetarily valuable. So they're fighting that disruption. But if that story does its job, and it can put an illusion in front of you to get you to believe that journey to the same degree that it does when it's handmade 20 years ago, it did its job of telling you a story, you the viewer. And I believe AI is going to get there to a point that you can't tell the difference between something written by AI or a person, or maybe a person like me who has limited musical ability, but it will help a musical cripple like me to make a symphony. And that symphony might make you cry. And it was free, and I did it in 15 minutes.
Right.
So what amount of my time has to go into it before you respect it? Or is not the response of what you do with it, your response to it, doesn't that tell you the truth about it? That it was something good?